start it over from the beginning. There we go. Some good jazz. Hip hop right there. Welcome to Marketing Mornings with Omar. Welcome. Everyone, grab your coffee because we're going to get creative. You can just watch and listen, or you can grab your pen and paper, or you can bust open your own notepad and so I'm going to keep the music on. Is my mic? Let me test. I wonder why. Doesn't look like. Oh, here we go. Just want to make sure. Uh-oh. Ooh, I should have tested this first. This is odd. I don't see. Thought everything was fine and dandy this morning. I'll have to check my own stream to see if the sound is working then. So what happens when you get some technical difficulties? Thought everything was fine and dandy this morning. I'll have to check my own stream. Oh hey, I guess I can hear myself.
Got to see the Hades bonus run.
So
We are looking forward to that.
give me 1 second. I'm going to switch some things around. Normally I can see my own meters going, so I guess I'll be safer if I leave that off. Trying to get a little too cute there, guys. I was gonna leave the music playing, so I'm gonna have to make sure. For some reason I can't see my audio playing, but to make sure. Yeah, so okay, so the audio works. I just have no confirmation of that, so from my end it looks like there's no audio. So I tested it, sounds like I can hear myself, so then we'll just have to get going this morning. So this morning, I mean, look, it's 8:30 a.m. January 4th, Monday morning. Who wants to be awake on Monday morning? I don't. I mean, you know what? It's like every morning is kind of the same. I'm naturally awake by 7 a.m. actually, and just Monday seems the hardest to kind of get back in the work routine. You had a couple of days off, so why? It's like I've talked about creativity before, and so it's like why revisit the topic again? I think because creativity is one of those things that is very difficult to teach. In that if I'm trying to duplicate myself, and I can break down most of the things I do into a process, like, okay, for a startup company, for example, let's build the website, do this, and this for the website. If it's a WordPress website, do these things, do these plugins, and then depending on what kind of company now we're at the content creation. Here we go. So before I work for the law firm, and I write the name down here. It's the only thing I write down today. is CN Law. I'm going to try to brainstorm everything live in person. And let me just let's attempt to pay attention to our, if we have any viewers. We may or may not. So just seeing if I may or may not have a viewer, because I tend not to pay attention. Okay, just making sure. So CN Law is a bankruptcy law firm in Orange County, and I've been tasked to oversee the marketing. And that means I know nothing about bankruptcy coming into it. And it's not the first time I've gone into a company and not known anything about the topic and been able to direct the marketing. Because for one, I have the input of the owner himself, which is a big asset. Big. You don't always have that. One of the reasons could be because he's a good friend of mine, so we have that relationship where I can ask him for things and not be embarrassed about it. Where, in any other company, you might be feel a little weird with whatever relationship you have with the boss, and when and how you chat with him. For me, it's just like, we used to be roommates, so I can just be like, hey Chris, we chat on a platform called I think it's WhatsApp. And so we can shut off all our other chat platforms. Well, me at least, WhatsApp. I only use WhatsApp for company communications, so I don't have all my other personal chats cluttering the business chat up. So, but I can just ask him for things throughout the day. Where in another company, you might be like, oh, I just asked the CEO for something, I might not want to ask him again. So we've got so it feels as much like one mind running the marketing as much as possible, because Chris has no problem pitching into the blogs and creating the content and proofreading it, which I actually would be so beneficial for any company, So whether we're talking about a bankruptcy lawyer or any kind of lawyer anywhere, or any business anywhere, if the owner or anybody in the company could be involved in the marketing process, because the owner or the CEO or the marketing director or whoever internally is in charge of the marketing, that person doesn't necessarily even have to be a good writer. So you could have a good writer listen to whoever this person inside the company is. Let's call this person the founder. Let's say the founder cannot write anything, but is able to speak and articulate his vision and his mission and everything via the spoken word. And then you just have someone transcribing everything this person writes, and then repurpose that into a blog or something. And then or ghostwrite something, or write that thing, and then have the founder reread it and say, no, that doesn't align with who we are. And I just bring this up. I hope this is like an aha thing, because for me it really is. I haven't done this before, in that before working with my friend Chris, because I'm very easily able to, because look, I know nothing about bankruptcy. So, and that's actually been an advantage. I use it as an advantage. It can, at the outset, seem like a weakness. It could seem like a huge weakness. Like, how are you going to handle somebody's marketing and not know anything about the topic? For me, it's like, oh, it's pretty simple. I've never needed to know much about a topic to do that company's marketing, because when it comes down to it, marketing comes down to a multitude of just processes, and no individual process is that amazing in itself. But the point is that you have all the processes done working together, And the point is that if one piece of it isn't there, the whole process won't work. Very similar to the engine of a car, like, well, you take one piece in itself doesn't seem that amazing, but you take any one piece out of an engine, the engine is going to break. Like you take one bolt, one piston, one thing out, and the whole thing breaks down. But one screw by itself, you're like, oh, well, that's just a bolt. Well, yeah, well, everything holds something that holds something else. And that's kind of my point about creativity as well, is that that's the one thing that in the process, right? Like you pour everything else, I can make a process, right? Like you do this, you do that, you do a piece of content. This is how you repurpose one piece of content. For example, right now, I'm repurposing content, so to speak, right? As I'm talking, this is being restreamed to 3 different places. I'm repurposing content, being a creative as I'm, because I got to come up. This is work I have to do anyways. I got to come up with a blog anyways, and I'm trying to be creative also by showing you the process, and it's not easy, especially while I'm trying to talk and entertain and teach at the same time, while showing you how I'm going to be creative. How am I going to come up with a blog topic for a very, I want to say boring, like, who wants to learn about bankruptcy? Who wants to go through bankruptcy? Nobody. Like, why would you need to learn about bankruptcy unless you're near or about to go through it or have gone through it, right? So it's like hopefully something that you never need to learn about. And if you need to learn about it, you're probably not in a great situation. Well, wait. This is where we slow down here, right? Because for any business, and I'll do this as I might not have even done this before. We go audience, right? So assuming we've already written about all the beginner articles, right? Let's say for whatever business, assuming you do have a blog, because if you don't have a blog, there's like 100 articles you could already be writing, right? Like the very beginner articles for your business. For a bankruptcy law firm, it's chapter 7, chapter 13. So we already have all those knocked out. His law firm's a couple of years old. And, in his first couple of years, he's got a lot of the basic articles out of the way. What is bankruptcy? What is the process? It's pretty boring, okay? Because bankruptcy is a federal process. It's been around for many years. And so that's what I mean by beginner articles, like the 101. If you went to college, what you would expect to learn in the 101 class. Have we already gotten the beginner articles out of the way? If not, okay, what would a person who has no idea what you do and who you do it for and what you're good at or where you do it or what's good about your company, what's better about you versus your competitors? And this is a continuing thing, okay? Because we want to aim to produce at least one written blog per week. Okay, let's aim for that first. And the reason we want to aim for that first is because it doesn't sound like a lot, but it kind of is. If you're not doing it, the production of one well-written blog, and this could vary, and I want to set 700 words as the minimum length, but I want to get away from an actual word count. A word count should be something done after the fact as a kind of a check. And if a very short article that's intended to be short only ends up to be 500 or 600 words, okay, you don't add fluff just to make it 700, but if 700 is a rough ballpark in that it takes a certain amount of words to say something, and 700 is about that level to where you've grabbed someone's attention for long enough, I think, to hypnotize them in a certain way. Under under 700 words, and I don't think you've hypnotized somebody long enough to really convince them of anything. I think that's the reason I personally just kind of latch on to, because I'm just kind of thinking of it right now. Why 700 words? It's just so for writing, um so I like to say 700 words is when I see an article with 700 words, I consider it a short article. For me, I consider that short. And so yeah, that's why I consider it my bare bottom minimum 700. And let's just say average, you shoot for 1,000. I want to say shoot for 1,000, settle for 700, and anything in between it is fine. And so you're saying, okay, well, so what's the high end? Well, that would be about 2,000 words. You're like, oh my God, that sounds like a book. It kind of is. And it's been a while. Maybe it's been over a year or more since I've written a 2,000 word plus, because that does feel like a book. A I don't even begin to remember like how many pages that would be. It might uh I forget, multiple pages of I think single spaced regular sized writing. And so it's not easy to get to 2,000 words on one topic. And you have to have a good reason to, because the longer an article gets, the exponentially more time it takes to do everything for that article, like to proofread it. So for example, the proofreading time to proofread, let's just say a short article, a 700 word article, it would be it's like two or three or four paragraphs, maybe three or four paragraphs, right? One page. It takes me a few minutes reading, really scrutinizing each word in each paragraph and how everything interacts. And so, and that's just 700 words. And I don't know that. So let's say multiply it by three, and then so what? So the thing is, when you multiply it by three, it's not a direct. So when you multiply it by three, the word count gets three times longer, right? But it also, there's an extra dimension for a 2,000 word article, is that by the time you're reading the last third, the last 700 words of a 2,000 word, so you look at it like a linear construction. You look at a 2,000 word article kind of like a song. And how does the last third apply to the whole article? So, for example, why would one embark on a 2,000 word article? There's a couple where you either explainer articles don't have to follow too much structurally. Um, if as long as you're not putting in too much fluff. And a 2,000 word explainer article has got to have pictures, infographics to break up that text. And that would be going very deep into a topic, because people don't like to read too much. They like lists. So for us, a 2,000 word article might be like the entire bankruptcy process explained from A to Z. I could see that being like a longer ebook, and the ebook being something like 2 to 4,000 words. And we also offer it as a PDF that you can download as a, what do you call it, a lead magnet. So let's, and these are ideas we're already working on in the back. I'm just gonna put them on paper. Lead magnet, but not actively working on. I mean, like we've tossed them on the board before, but it's like, who wants to embark on writing a 2 to 4,000 word book? It's actually like a book. When you talk 2 to 4,000 plus words, now you're talking book. You're talking chapters, and you don't want to waste words. So you actually want to be informed. Some things don't take that many words to say. So, assuming we've gotten the beginner articles out of the way, what audience are we targeting with bankruptcy? So bad financial situation, okay? Credit cards maxed out. Now, why would I want to type out the audience? The audience is important. Audience is not only, and we need to be open here and be willing to talk about race, sex, gender, sexual orientation, because your audience might be any of those things. And so, in terms of being politically and legally correct, yeah, there's certain things you can't say or do in your marketing, but in your thinking and in your understanding, like, look, if all of your customers are gay males between the ages of 25 and 35, then it's fine to understand that. You may not say that or put that in your marketing, but for your sales, marketing, and your entire team to know that internally, like, hey guys, this is our market, or whatever, use it how you may, but it's information, it's demographic information. And so beyond what people are and their physical characteristics and their ethnicity, their race, their gender, what other things about your audience? And so when we talk about our audience, I think when I was first introduced to the topic, those are the natural things to think about. So when we're like, define your audience, okay, my audience is they're generally between this age and this age. And they're maybe this race, this gender. Or if you're a clothing company, that's kind of how you might want to niche down. Clothing companies often, especially this day and age, really have to target a specific segment until they blow up like a big Abercrombie and Fitch, and they sell to everybody. And so with audience, where am I going with this audience? There's a couple ways to attract leads, right? We can buy them, and those leads are expensive. If we go to Google and we buy those leads, or we could think about what does everyone share in common who's either thinking about filing, or actively shopping for bankruptcy. And so I'm just gonna go intuitive here and come up with there must be in a bad, like, that's like, okay, duh, bad financial situation, but I write it down because it might lead us to other situations. And credit cards maxed out, okay, and because you might think like, okay, duh, haha, funny, obvious, like, duh, Omar, credit card. But did you know that credit cards maxed out? I can check, but that's something you can actually target people for on Facebook, meaning, like, Facebook connects all different kinds of information, and such as your credit worthiness from Equifax and Experian. And so if your name is John Smith on Facebook, then they might connect you with John Smith that exists in real life, and know that your credit cards are maxed to the hilter. And I could be wrong on this. It's been a couple of years since I've looked at all that exact thing, and it's something you can filter for. People that have used up their credit limit, or people that are luxury spenders, things like that. So, and the thing is, you're like, oh, whoa, that's amazing. Well, the people that run ads already know this, and those certain audiences are expensive. Like, right, everyone wants to advertise to certain audiences, and for us, it's interesting because who wants to advertise to people in bad financial situations? And so it's kind of puts us between a rock and a hard place, because legal services aren't cheap per se. Lawyers aren't the least expensive thing, nor are they the most necessary thing that you need. So how do you go about advertising something to an audience, right? Something that um, it it may not seem necessary, but it actually is very necessary in the long term to achieve your goals. And the closest example I have, if none of that made sense, which it kind of doesn't to me until I connected to this example, is fitness, right? So when I say bankruptcy is necessary, what I mean to say is that bankruptcy is necessary in the same way as fitness is necessary, right? Like if I don't work out today, I'm not gonna die. And I use that as an example because I haven't worked out for about a week. I've after Thanksgiving and after Christmas, you just kind of New Year's, you just kind of get used to not working out, and poof. But if I don't work out, I'm not gonna die. But if I continue this behavior long term, and I don't change my eating habits, it's gonna lead to a very unhealthy situation. And by that could lead to situations that could lead to death, like real bad health, diabetes, because just bad health, don't work out, drink too much, a combination of things. And in that sense, it's like, okay, so if you're bleeding, if you have all these debts, if you have debts that are quote unquote dischargeable, and we have articles, and those are the beginner articles that define things like dischargeable debt, like credit card debt that after you file bankruptcy, it goes away. We have beginner articles already that talk about the pros and the cons. Like it's not just all fairy tale ending, right? One thing our law firm does specifically, CN Law, the one that I work for, we offer people that go through bankruptcy financial courses afterwards. We offer it free to them. We have to pay for it so it's part of the package, and we still offer an affordable package. But we figure it's like, look, would we make more profit in the short term? Yes. If we didn't offer this, of course, it's like, look, if we're looking at our books and oh, how can we save money? We could say, oh, we could just not pay for this course, right? Because this is something we offer to bankruptcy clients after the fact, and we can pocket that money. But actually, that does us no good, because on the other hand, Chris Nguyen, the owner of CN Law, he has a 12-year track record, and knock on wood, has never had a repeat bankruptcy client. That means no one that he's taken through bankruptcy one time has had to file again. And we released a article recently of 10 celebrity bankruptcies, some alive, some in history, not alive anymore. It was more of a fun article to kind of take away the stigma of bankruptcy. Donald Trump, his companies have filed something like 6 or more times, so it's not like it's almost as common as getting a loan. I mean, not that common, it's like everyone's gotten a loan, not everyone's gone through bankruptcy, but it should be thought of as a tool, such as getting a loan. And there are pros and cons, which we have an article. So I talk about the audience. So we want to look for qualities that we might be able to use later on to target such an audience. And so I'm just gonna throw out some ideas like stressed. Okay, because if I start at stressed, right? Because look, if you're even thinking about filing for bankruptcy, it's like that means like, oh, like I don't have enough money to pay what's coming in. I might have taken on too much debt, or maybe my interest rates went up all of a sudden. Maybe I just got laid off, so maybe I don't have the income to pay off what I used to be able to pay off with my job. So then I come up with, let's actually make this, let's make each one a separate thing. that we might be able to branch off of, because so I think about, what do stressed out people search for, right? And that could lead us to other places, right? Maybe not during a time of COVID, right? But when business was alive and booming, stressed out people were getting massages. So, and these are just different audiences, and this type of brainstorming leads to more accurate marketing, because we'll be able to test certain audiences on both Google and Facebook's platform, for example, through our brainstorming sessions. And so on the one hand, we're brainstorming now. On the other hand, this brainstorming will help me come up with blog ideas, and I'll come up with one by the end of this session. Let's say in the next 5 minutes, because it's almost been 30 minutes. I think it actually has been 30 minutes, and but we'll be able to use this brainstorm to both come up with better blog articles and to refine and create audiences to target on Facebook and Google. Facebook and Google are two different platforms that work both similarly and completely differently. And so a Facebook audience, for example, you could, and they work the same ways. So we could consider it the same. You just have to understand kind of two different systems. So we could target for location, for example, if we're in Orange County, that makes things a lot easier, right? We're only dealing, it's still millions of people, but we're only dealing with Orange County. So first we vacuum off Orange County, and okay, we're dealing with this millions of residents, and so how do we refine based on the things that we're coming up with now? So everyone in Orange County, okay, so our audience, so we'll put this on the top level, Orange County. So that's already understood. And people in Orange County who are in a bad financial situation, it's not as easily definable, right? You don't really know. You can do something with their credit cards. You might be able to refine the audience that way. They're stressed out. So their mental health, you could think about like depressed, anxiety. And I'm not sure. You can. I'm sure those searches are expensive, but you could think about who. So they might be searching for doctors, mental health, psychiatrists, psychologists. This is just outside the box thinking on what search terms. So we can look at the cost per click of search terms specifically for bankruptcy, and also specifically for depression. And kind of look at the ROI based on the clicks and whatever, and we just do testing. It's coming up with ideas and doing testing. So lead magnet, and so let's look at the actual blog ideas, okay? And so all that. And let's say someone put a gun to my head and say, you got to come up with a blog idea in 2 minutes. I say, oh my God, based on what I came up with. And okay, so our topic is bankruptcy. So our topic is bankruptcy. And now we have a better idea of our audiences. People understood in Orange County a bad financial situation. Credit cards are maxed out. They're stressed. They might be depressed or anxious. Bankruptcy may, okay, this is a stretch, not actually, resolve mental health issues, depression or anxiety. Boom. And you know what? I was already thinking about something like that. So that's not fair. Bankruptcy may resolve mental health issues like depression or anxiety. Boom. I'm just making shit up. But that's what writing is, right? Okay. We make a bold claim and we back it up with evidence. And writing works two different ways, okay? You either look at a lot of evidence and you're like, oh wow, all this evidence supports this new claim, right? Or you intuitively come up with the thing that you think is true, or the claim that you want to make, and then you build the evidence around it, right? It's kind of like you can make a case for anything, so you just think of something that might be interesting. Okay, so let's look at people with credit cards that are maxed out, and how we can help those credit cards maxed out people. And without, man, how do you not be boring about it? Bankruptcy and credit cards maxed out. And what problem are they going through? And a lot of these articles we've already written, right? So like someone who is they're working just to pay off their credit cards. Um, I am drawing a blank. This bankruptcy is not easy to write about. The credit cards are maxed out. They're stressed. Uh, so okay, now see, okay, I'm going to do my best here. Bankruptcy. How about we lead with okay. Bankruptcy provides the stress relief of 1,000 massages is an article about the stress relief effects of bankruptcy. Okay? How 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 discharging debt literally feels like a ton of weight off of one's shoulders. Okay? How discharging debt literally feels like a ton of weight off of one's shoulders. And I'll outline that article, and it's going to be from the perspective. Well, I have to actually have to interview someone that has gone through the process, preferably with Chris, right? And I want to find, and we've got a database of people I could email. Like, I might include that in the next email. Like, hey guys, I'm not gonna say it like that. Dear former clients, how would you feel, or would anyone be interested on answering this short question? Did anyone before the process feel stressed out, and after the process, did you feel like you were not stressed out anymore? And would you share your thoughts? And then I would use that response, with their permission, of course, in this article, and make it anonymous. Obviously, people really don't want to be sharing their personal business, but I think the answer is enlightening. It's probably what you would expect, but to hear it and actually connect the dots and saying, because some people don't really realize that they're feeling stressed, or that every small little individual debt adds up to a large ball of stress that's weighing you down, literally affecting your breathing every day. And so that'll be interesting. I think I've actually given myself some good ideas this morning. Peace out, creativity. Monday mornings, we'll see you every morning about 8:30. I don't want to set it. Sometimes I'll show up earlier, sometimes I'll show up later, but I'm doing it every morning.